You joined the Sharp in 1991 with Alan Catlin and Charlie Rook. You released the 1992 EP, Spinosity. And in 93, the debut album, This Is the Sharp. Now, from this album, there were 3 singles. You had Train of Thought, well, that is a personal favourite of mine, Scratch My Back, and Yeah, I Want You. Now, while all the songs are awesome on the album, the singles did well, and the album did chart extremely well on the ARIAs. Now, while you have already made a name for yourselves, on Saturday night, the 25th of September 93, a music sketch had played on ABC TV late at night, lampooning your song and video to Scratch My Back. Now, were you watching the show at the time?
No, God, no. We were probably doing a gig. You know, we used to do crazy amounts of gigs. I think one year we did 320 gigs in 1 year. You know, that only leaves 40 days left of the year, you know, 45 days. Yeah, anyway. So we were very, very busy. But I remember hearing about it very, very soon after it happened and watching it and just thinking it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And also what a great compliment it was to get from a bunch of comedians who we were huge fans of. You know, like if you were living in Melbourne in the early to mid 90s, you were going to be a fan of the DGen, or you were going to be a fan of The Late Show. Everyone I knew loved it. We loved it. And to see them take the time and trouble to take the piss out of us was so amazing, you know. And we bumped into Jane Kennedy probably a few weeks after the clip aired, and she was like, "Oh, she's really sort of apologetic. I'm really sorry. I hope you guys weren't offended." And we were like, "Oh, are you kidding?" So she was actually a big fan of the band. So it was a sort of a mutual love situation, I suppose.
With your original music clip, Scratch My Back, who was the costume designer for it, if you can remember?
Oh, my God. I absolutely no idea. It probably would have... Look, it was shot at Channel 10 from memory, shot at the Channel 10 studios. It would have been someone in-house, I'm sure.
The whole piss take of Scratch My Back, Skivvies Are Back, do you think it was too much of an easy target?
Absolutely not. I mean, if you're going to... I mean, look, you look at the other ones they did, like Melbourne Cliches, you know, the Things of Stone and Wood. Well, of course that's going to be the subject of your parody because, you know, there are Melbourne cliches in that song. You know what I mean? So you're gonna take the piss out of whatever is the most obvious thing. You know, on a comedy sketch show, you've got 30 seconds to be funny and only slightly more time to produce the damn thing. So you've got to get in, get hard, get funny, and get out again.
What do you think about Santo playing you on the drums?
Oh, Santo's great. I love Santo, you know, and the only sort of signature thing I do on the drums tends to be that kind of stiff kind of movement, which I've finally gotten over. But, you know, again, someone like Santo, I'm a huge fan of. All of those guys, you know, we grew up with them. Rob Sitch, you know, Santo, Jane Kennedy, Nick Malloy, they really are very talented, very funny people.
Do you have any of the fans, like when you've done performances, because the band took a break at about 95, correct? And then you've come back a couple of times.
We did, yeah. And then we did it, it's very hard for me to remember, but I think it was about 10 years ago we did a few shows. And then before that, we did one at the Hi-Fi Bar. So there's been sort of two sort of re-emergences, but that's been about it.
You guys aren't together now, are you? So you don't have any plans to reunite for any anniversaries or anything?
Oh, look, we sort of missed the 30-year anniversary because of COVID. I think the only way that we would do something would be, and your show has actually sort of given me the inspiration to do it, would be if we could somehow do a show that involved us, Frente, and Things of Stone and Wood, you know, apart from the Late Show piss take connection, it really, those three bands at that time, so there was probably us, Bad Loves, Chocolate Starfish, Frente, Things of Stone and Wood, and a few others that was sort of getting popular and getting some traction in the kind of early to mid 90s. And I think if there was a promoter, if a promoter put on a show where those 3 or 4 bands could appear, I think it could be like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, well, if you've checked YouTube lately, you have your original video clip of Scratch My Back, and then you have the parody, and the parody has more hits than your own video.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me, honestly. I'm not offended by that. I think the thing that I'm appreciative of is that, because YouTube is uncensored, like people can write whatever the hell they want. And some of the comments that some people write about some of the bands and the artists that I've known over the years and played with are really offensive and appalling. But generally people have been fairly kind to us, and I think that's a nice thing.
What exactly are you up to right now?
Right now, I'm like doing what most faded ex-minor pop stars from the 90s do, and I'm teaching full time. So I teach, and I spread my love of music to kids and help them develop, and that's going pretty well. And during lockdown, like pretty much every other person I know, I did a lot of recording of my own material and recorded about 22 songs during lockdown. And those songs are in various states of development. So that's been fun. And I've kept playing ever since the Sharp. I've played with, hang on, let me get my bio up because I've forgotten who the hell I've played with. I've played with, hang on, Tina Arena. I've played with ABC, Shoot That Poison Arrow. Played with Scott Owen, Brian Mannix, Paul Norton, the Shantuzis, Brian Cadd, Russell Morris, John Paul Young, Grace Knight, Archie Roach, Shane Howard, Paul Gray, Sean Kelly, Dale Ryder, James Freud, Scott Kahn, Michael Spivey, and Kate Sobrano and Richie Clapton. So,
well, that's the entire playlist of Countdown.
I think you might be right.
That's an amazing.
So I've played with all those guys, and look, they were like kind of one-off gigs and whatever, and it was like a lot of fun to be in their backing band, and yeah, it's cool. And I'm still getting out every weekend or every other weekend playing with people and having fun.
So what's your current project?
So there's a band that I started with a couple of buddies of mine, and the band's called Great Frontier, as in ear. And I've known these guys for a long, long, long time. The bass player, Paul Cartwright, I went to music school with in the 80s, which is a long time ago. And we just wrote a whole bunch of material in during lockdown. And Walking in Slow Motion is the first song that we put together. And it was basically about that feeling of when you're in lockdown, that feeling that you're just stuck in one spot. It's kind of not about depression. That's too depressing. But it's about that feeling of kind of walking in molasses and trying to get through it, but trying to see some light at the end of the day. And that's what the song's about.
The world is moving faster. I try to keep online, but every time I walk, I keep getting out of time. I'm walking in slow motion. I'm walking in slow motion. I'm walking in slow motion.
What about we do a bit of Q&A? I'll play something and you can try and tell me what Sharp song it's from.
That's too slow for train of thought.
Starts with a T.
T. It can't be Talking Sly, can it?
Yes,
oh, no way.
Song 2.
Train of thought.
There we go.
There we go. skivvies are back.
There we go.
Scratch my back. Thank you for
10
that.
out of 10.
Scratch my back.
I was going to say, if you had, what's the brushes? You could have done that. Was it dark sunglasses?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pair of dark sunglasses. Pete Collins, thank you so much for being a great sport and talking to us about this.
Absolute pleasure.